Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. Get ready, the show's about to begin.
Welcome, everybody, to Fueled by Deathcast. This is episode 123, for those of you keeping track at home. It is also season 3, episode 19. And to get right into it, in your ear holes and maybe in your eye holes, I am the incredible Jeff. And you can find this show, if you're just listening to it, on your favorite podcast listening device, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Music, iHeartRadio, or the like, or in full video and video clips right on the Death Wish Coffee Company YouTube page and over at Facebook. And I'd love it if you took a second and followed us on social media. It's really easy to do. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee, and across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, you can follow Fueled by Deathcast at Fueled by Deathcast. And this show would be nothing without the voice of death himself, Brock Powell. BrockVox.com for all your voice acting needs. He is the voice actor on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. It is incredible to follow his journey through the voice acting industry, and he's doing some really incredible stuff, and we love Brock to death. And I always say we're going to do a lot more stuff, and we are. I've got some fun stuff in the works this year that hopefully we'll be able to do with Brock. And fingers crossed, I'm going to get out on the West Coast and be able to see Brock again in person because, like I said, this show would be nothing without Brock Powell. So follow him everywhere at BrockVox. That was the voice of death right there telling you you can save 12% off your order on deathwishcoffee.com if you use the discount code Discount of Death. That's all one word, Discount of Death. Type that in at checkout anytime you make a purchase, and you'll get 12% off as a thank you from Fueled by Deathcast. And if you're a fan of the show, you know there is a rogue code out there. A rogue code? Yeah, that works, right? Rogue code out there. It's Discount of Jeff. It also gets you 12% off, and I want that one to do a little bit better than Discount of Death because I think that would be a little win in my book, that Discount of Jeff is discounting all of your purchases. But yeah, every single purchase you make right over on deathwishcoffee.com, you'll get 12% off just for using our secret discount code. I love doing podcasts. I love being part of the podcast community, and I love listening to podcasts. I feel like I listen to probably about 50-50 now. There was a time where I would listen to a podcast every once in a while when I was just getting into them. But and when I was starting to make podcasts, I wasn't listening to as many either because, I'm sitting here editing these shows every single week. And but I really do. I feel like about 50% of the time, if I'm putting something on, it's a podcast rather than it being a piece of music. And there's so many good shows out there. So I want to take a second and talk about some of my favorites and some friends of the show. First and foremost is friend of the show, Mr. Ricky Rahman. You might remember Ricky as the host of MTV's Headbangers Ball back in the 90s, but he is also the co-conspirator of the infamous Cat House Hollywood Club that so many rock and roll stars got their start at, and it was just this place of debauchery on the Sunset Strip in California back in the late 80s and early 90s. And one of the cool things about the Cat House was Ricky made a rule, no cameras allowed. And so it was kind of like Vegas the minute you walked in. What happens in the Cat House stays in the Cat House until now. He started the Cat House Hollywood podcast, and he basically uses each episode every other week to talk about a crazy thing, a crazy night, a crazy experience, some incredible memory that happened beyond the doors as you walked through the Cat House Hollywood. And been really fun to listen along. And episode 9 premiered this week, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm very excited because it's all about the time that Axl Rose and the rest of Guns N' Roses shot the music video It's So Easy at the Cat House. So you can watch that music video and get a little taste of what the Cat House was like, because they actually allowed cameras in for that one. But apparently, as the story goes, that same night, the same night that they shot that music video, Axl Rose chased David Bowie down the street saying he was going to kill him. I don't know the full story, and if you want to hear the whole story, you can hear it right from Ricky on episode 9 of the Cat House Hollywood podcast, out wherever podcasts are found. Another friend of the show, brand new to the podcast game, they just released their first episode, so we can all become fans together right at the beginning of their show, is the podcast Murder in the Rain. And I have the little breakdown right here. With a mutual fascination for true crime, Emily and Alicia have taken upon themselves to explore the depravity that holds a special place in the Pacific Northwest. Murder in the Rain examines brutality, history, and humanity of the notorious murders with the help of authors, psychologists, detectives, victim families, and their producer, Josh. And it sounds really cool. I mean, it is the kind of the zeitgeist now is the murder podcasts, the murder TV shows, like the in-depth true crime stuff. We're all enamored with it. I'm as much at fault as anybody. I love this stuff. I eat it up. And this is a brand new podcast we can all dive into, Murder in the Rain. You can find them on Facebook and also murderintherain.com, and soon everywhere podcasts are found. And I also want to throw it out to our good friend Steve Souza from Exodus. The singer of Exodus there, Zetro, has started his own web series called Zetro's Toxic Vault. You can find it on YouTube, and it's pretty rad. He releases all sorts of episodes, tales from the road, special guests, movie reviews, and it's just a lot of fun to hear him just talk about different memories he's had as the singer of Exodus, talk to some of his friends in the industry, and just have a good time in the Toxic Vault. And you'll probably recognize some of the paraphernalia there, too, because he sure does love his Death Wish coffee, and we love him, too. So go check out Zetro's Toxic Vault right over there on YouTube, your new favorite webcast. Speaking of content, I wanted to let you guys know that we here at Death Wish Coffee and at Fueled by Deathcast are going all in on the platform Twitch. If you've never heard of Twitch, Twitch started a few years back as basically a safe space for video gamers. It was a place that video gamers could all kind of come together and stream themselves or others playing video games. And you might think, that's kind of weird. Why would you want to watch people play video games? Well, as a gamer myself, I have found that does come in handy sometimes because, you know, you get stuck in an area in a game and you're like, how the hell do I beat this boss or get through this puzzle? And it's cool to be able to go to something like Twitch and search the game and look for videos of other players experiencing the same thing and getting through it, finding out how to kind of make it through that point. And like, it's like your own personal Nintendo power back in the day. But Twitch since has expanded and is really giving YouTube a run for its money. It is becoming its own TV channel where you can go to Twitch and still see gamers streaming esports. You can see competitions of games and all that other stuff, but it has opened up the floodgates and people are streaming board games and tabletop games. People are streaming podcasts, interviews, cooking shows, all sorts of different things. So we are going to develop a lot of new and exciting and fun, entertaining content over on Twitch, and you don't have to pay to join. It's free to join, and you don't even have to join. You can go to this URL right here, twitch.tv/deathwishcoffee, and you can watch live as we stream, and we're going to try to be doing that a lot more over there. But I do recommend signing up for free for Twitch because all you do is you create a username and a password, and that username allows you to be part of the comments in the live. And we're going to start doing contests over there. We're going to start doing a lot of fun, different content, including playing video games with Death Wish employees and some special guests and some of the podcast content. The sky is the limit. Right now, we developed a brand new show called Talking Death. And if you are fans of Game of Thrones, the final season is well underway. And my normal producer on the Fueled by Death show, Shannon Sweeney, the mother of content, and I have been doing a little recap show, Talking Death, all about each episode of Game of Thrones in this final season. And we've done 2 of them. They're both up on Twitch and also up on the Death Wish Coffee Company YouTube page. And I'd love to know what you guys think of that. Please hit me up at Fueled by Deathcast on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and let me know what you think of the recap show. Let me know what you want to see us do on Twitch, because we want to do a lot of fun stuff over on Twitch. Because, like I said, it's the sky's the limit with a platform like that, and I'm really excited to create a lot more fun content over there, including all of the awesome stuff we already do right here at Fueled by Deathcast. This week, I'm welcoming a very special guest and our first ever baseball player on this show. I'm a baseball fan. I used to play when I was a kid, but I was not that good. But I just thoroughly enjoy baseball. In fact, one of my favorite memories was when my parents took me to Fenway Park when I was really young during 4th of July. And I got to see one of the greatest Red Sox teams play. And regardless of you're a Red Sox fan or not, I got to see some of the greats of the game play. I got to see Roger Clemens pitch, and I got to see Wade Boggs hit a home run. And it was an incredible experience. And then after the game, they had a laser light show on the Green Monster, all for 4th of July with fireworks. And it was absolutely incredible. But so many cool experiences watching Major League and Amateur League baseball live. And it was really cool to get to talk with this week's guest, Garrett Whitley. Garrett Whitley is actually a local boy. He went to high school in Niskayuna, which is right down the road from Death Wish Coffee. And after graduating, he became one of the top prospects for the MLB in 2015 and was taken as the 13th overall draft pick for the Tampa Bay Rays in 2015. And since then, he's been playing AA, A, and A advanced ball for the Rays to great results, except for the 2018 season. He had a freak accident in his shoulder and had to miss the entire season. But he's back in 2019, and right before spring training, I got to sit down with Garrett and talk with him about baseball, what it means to him to do the best he possibly can in the sport, and what was going through his head being such a young kid and being hurt, but wanting to come back and play the game. He has an incredible outlook on the game and life in general, and it was an absolute treat to talk to Garrett because I know he's going to be joining the majors very soon and going to be talked about a lot because he has a lot of talent. He's going to go far in that sport. So mugs up this week for this week's Death Guest, Garrett Whitley.
The Fueled by Death Guest.
Going down the path of becoming a baseball player, because we've all been kids. We've all had those dreams and those aspirations. And I want to know kind of where did sports come into play for you? When did baseball become the sport you wanted to play? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, sports always been a huge part of my life. My dad was an athlete growing up, and it wasn't like he was pushing it on me or my brother or sister or nothing like that, but it was just like, I don't know, I just took to it, you know? Like, I can't remember a time ever growing up where I didn't want to play some kind of sport, and baseball was always the number one for me. So, I mean, I played a bunch of other stuff. I played hockey, and I played football, and I played basketball.
Good God.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. I don't know. I just liked everything. But still, baseball was always one that stuck out for me, and I was always the best at it too. So that kind of helped.
Awesome. Well, first of all, with all of those sports playing as a kid, I gotta take a second here to shout out your parents for being so cool, for giving you the ability to play all those sports. Because I mean, man, that's a lot of practices.
Yeah, no, for real. We were always busy, and I got a little brother and sister too. So my brother's playing sports, my sister dances, so it was a busy house.
Awesome. And you are from our neck of the woods here, and you went to school at Niskayuna, right?
Yep.
And I know just from being in upstate New York and stuff like that, sports is a pretty big thing in schools. Did you feel that your time in school helped you on this path, or was it more extracurricular activities?
Well, if you're talking about the path to pro baseball,
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, obviously my time in school was a huge part of my experience and my growing up and getting better as a ball player. But the big things that helped me get here where I am now is I happened to get noticed by somebody, a scout who was from Clifton Park actually, who invited me to come do some showcase tournaments. I did I don't know if you've ever heard of them, the East Coast Pro Tournament and Area Code Tournament. So he invited me to come try out for those, and I made the team and went and performed well there. And then that's what really set it all off professionally.
Wow. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because like I've heard of these before, but I'm not really sure what that all entails. So you're playing baseball for school and for that, and then the scout contacts you. And what goes into this tournament? Is it just kind of like feats of skill, or do you have to perform on a team? Like what does that entail?
You play on a team.
Mm-hmm.
You go out. So I mean, obviously, scouts are gonna they watch kids as soon as they notice them. So they can judge guys off batting practice and how you feel ground balls and all that sort of thing. But what they really want to see you do is playing games. So you go to these tournaments, and you do have an evaluation day, I guess. I don't know if they call it more of a showcase day or whatever, where you go out and you just take batting practice on the field and you run a 60-yard dash and make throws from the outfield so that they can see everything that you're doing. And then you go out and play games. I think we played 5 games in East Coast Pro and 4 or 5 in area codes too, and they want to see how you hit against good quality pitching and how you perform in a game and that sort of thing, your baseball instincts and what kind of teammate you are, all the kind of intangible things too that they can't see in a workout.
Wow. And speaking on being the type of teammate that you are, I mean, you're coming from being on a team that you've probably been on for years, and now you're doing these events where you're stuck with a bunch of other guys who are vying for the same kind of thing, but you're all being a team. Is that like a completely different experience?
It really was. Just being around that many great ball players was something new for me because we got really good baseball in upstate New York, and I played on really good teams, but this was a different level, like you're talking the top of the top high school talent, and it was just really fun, to get to learn from the other guys and compete against the other guys who are always pushing you through the whole thing. I had a great time, and luckily enough, I was able to perform well enough too to, forward everything.
Yeah. Does it in a situation like that? Does it get in your head? Because I mean, obviously you want to perform your best, no matter where you're playing, what team you're on. But in a situation like that, all eyes are on you. Is that tough to get out of your own head in that situation?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went in there with no expectations because I hadn't faced any sort of competition like that before. Before I went to that tournament, I don't even think I'd ever seen 90 miles an hour before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I just went in. I was just like, man, I just want to go play as well as I can and just go have a good time taking this whole experience. And playing loose really helped me because I was able to play well and just kind of show what I really could do, and then prove to myself too that I did belong there, and I was one of the really good guys there, and I just had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really feel too much pressure with it.
I think that's inspiring because I think as an athlete, I think a lot of athletes get tripped up because they get in their own head. Whether you're at the professional level or the amateur level, doesn't matter. If you go in there and you, like you said, you're just going to play, and that's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna do your best. I think you are gonna do your best rather than, oh shit, I better try my best here in this situation. I think that's really inspiring.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Thanks.
So talking on moving forward in the timeline, then, do you get discovered at that point, and is that because you're now drafted by, correct me if I'm wrong, the Tampa Bay, correct? And does
Yep.
that come directly from that moment, or was there more steps involved before you got to that point?
There was a lot more steps. Those few tournaments, I started pretty late for guys who were going to get drafted. Not saying obviously that there weren't other guys who didn't get noticed until I did, but I wasn't on anybody's radar until those tournaments, and I played those. It was the August going into my senior year of high school. So it was a really quick process for me, I guess, but there's a lot that went into it. You went in there, you performed, you showed everybody you can play. And then from there, they want to see you a bunch more times. They want to talk to you. We did probably like 20, 21 in-home meetings with scouts from teams who would come to my place, sit down with me and my parents, and try to get to know me as a person. Because if they're considering drafting you and putting a lot of money into you, potentially, they want to know everything that they can about you. So there's a lot of that sort of thing. And then once my school season started up, I had scouts at every game, watch me play then. And because, I mean, there's a lot of really good ball players out there, and they only get a certain number of picks. They want to make sure that they're picking who they want to get. So they really do their due diligence.
Wow. And it seems like such a different organization going from playing amateur ball to playing professional baseball. Was it eye-opening, like now being part of this organization and being in that professional setting? Is it really different?
It is different. I had a lot to learn at first, just because I hadn't been around anything like that. So there's a lot of baseball things actually that obviously, I mean, I could hit and I could run and that sort of thing, but little things like just small technique things, base running things, bunting stuff, situational baseball that in high school they're just kind of like go out and do it, and then in pro ball though they teach you the correct way to do it so that we're the best at it. You know what I mean? So there's a big learning curve with that, and then there's just a lot of guys down here too. So I took a little while to get used to all of those things, but I just try to do the same thing. Like I said, try to come in here with as positive attitude as I could and as good mentality as I could. But it definitely took a little while to get used to.
Yeah. And on the work side of it, how much do you play? Like, I mean, practice, play, work out. Is it every single day?
Yeah, it is. Right now we're in spring training. And I think we actually do have an off day this year, which is a first. So usually we come in for spring training, and it's the full month of March, no off days. And then when we break camp, it's I want to say we get like 8 off days through the whole season, which is April through early September. And they're spread out. It's like one a month or so. So it is every day. We're practicing before games. I'll get to the field at 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending on what I have going on. And I'm working for the majority of that until the 6:30, 7 o'clock game that we're playing that night. And then we play the game, go home, go to sleep, do the same thing the next day.
Wow. And now I don't want to get this wrong. You are playing single A ball? Is that's right? How many games a year? Because I know the level above that obviously is MLB, and they've got 162. Do you do 162 as well?
Everyone in the minor leagues plays 140.
140. That's still an incredibly amount of games a year.
Yeah, it is.
That's incredible. And for our listeners and watchers at home too, what position do you play?
I'm an outfielder. I was drafted as a center fielder, but I can play all 3 positions.
Is that what you played in high school as well, all outfield?
Yeah, it is.
And kind of going back to our younger days, as a fan of the sport, what drew you to baseball? Was it like maybe a team or a player or a position? Was there something that like sparked your interest as a kid? Like, oh wow, baseball's really cool.
I was a big Red Sox fan growing up.
Me too.
Yeah, my family.
Big Red Sox fan.
Nice. Yeah, my family's from Boston. I was born down there, and there's huge Sox fans. So I grew up rooting for the Red Sox, and '04 happened, and it was just. I mean, I was hooked on baseball already, but I could tell you the whole Red Sox lineup, front to back. I could do every batting stance. Me and my little brother used to go out in the backyard and play wiffle ball, and it would be Red Sox versus Yankees. We'd argue about who got to be the Red Sox, but we could do every batting stance from both teams. We knew the lineups, and it was just I don't know. It was a great time to be growing up a baseball fan, and a great time to be growing up a Red Sox fan too. It was just really fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a little older than you, and I dealt with lots of years of heartache from the Red Sox. 2004 was a wonderful year. But another thing about the Red Sox that I tell people, as even just auxiliary baseball fans, or even people who have never even cared about the game, one of the coolest things about baseball in general, I think, is the history behind it. And Fenway Park is it's a museum. It's one of the most amazing places just to step foot into, and I'm sure you were able to do that so much as a kid growing up in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Niskayuna. I grew up in New York, so but I had family down there, so we would go to at least.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we would go to at least a game or two a year. Which is just awesome. I mean, like you said, it's a museum. It's like there's so much history in there, and it's just an unbelievable atmosphere to play. So yeah, it was the whole everything. It was great to grow up a Red Sox fan.
It really, really is. And I also kind of want to talk a little bit on this because I think it's important. I'm not sure if you're currently dealing with it, but I had heard that you were dealing with an injury. Are you through that, or are you still dealing with that?
I'm through it now.
Excellent.
I'm officially, as of 4 or 5 days ago, fully cleared for all activity. I'll be playing in games in spring training, and I'm out doing everything as a normal ball player now.
That's excellent. How do you keep your head in a situation like that? Because so many athletes, it can be detrimental to their career if it gets in your head. Like, oh man, I'm hurt. I obviously can't perform the way I want to perform because I have this injury. How did you deal with it to get through it?
It was tough. It was a lot mentally, because I mean, baseball is what I love, and baseball is what I go to if I need to clear my mind and just go to the cage and hit or just do something. So having to sit around and not having that kind of outlet for me was hard. But I just tried to just make my rehab my job, which it was. But I was doing that every day, go in, try to put on a happy face and just kind of go grind through it. I don't know, it's tough. I have a great support system too, though. My family is amazing. They came down to visit a couple of times while I was down here. My girlfriend was here too. She was staying with me for her summer break, and just having those people surrounding me was, if I ever needed to talk to anybody or if I just wanted to get my mind off it, they were always there for me.
That's excellent. I gotta say, just talking with you, you have a really good head on your shoulders. You really seem like you just want to get out on that field and do what you're meant to do, which is to play baseball. And you seem very even-keeled about that. And I think, not to really go too far into that, but I think that's where some of the greats of this sport reside. Like, you look at, to go to the evil Yankees, but you look at somebody like Derek Jeter, that was always his mentality. Was at the end of the day, regardless of superstardom, regardless of whatever, he just wanted to get out there and play ball and do a good job doing that. And I feel just from talking to you that you have that same kind of mentality. Where does that come from? Has that always been a part of you? Do you think it's upbringing? Do you think it's your support system? Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of that. I was always pretty even-keeled, I guess, my temperament-wise and all that. But it's just, like I said, my support system's always been amazing. they've always been there if I get down. They always, hype me up when I'm doing good. And, just anything that I need, they're always there. My dad is the same way as I am, I guess, with that kind of like, he's excited when things are good, but he never gets like too crazy high and he never gets too low. I always admired that and wanted to be like that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. On the baseball side of things, MLB has changed a lot, even in the last 5-6 years, as a sport, as, the way that they push it out and the rules and regulations in there. What do you think is the future of baseball? Do you think it's, do you think we're on the path to more people wanting to play this sport, or do you think it's diminishing?
I hope it's more people, man. Because I'll tell you what, I still love this just as much as the first day that I played.
Yeah.
I think it's a great sport. Obviously, you do see some things with they're talking about like attendance being down and that sort of thing. Yeah. And I don't really know much about any of that. I don't know why people aren't interested, because I'm still interested. And I think we're still putting a great product out there. Obviously, home runs are exciting and strikeouts aren't so exciting. So there's all that going on. But I really don't see any reason why it shouldn't continue to go up, I guess, because I still think sport's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always thrown around as America's pastime and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's one of the most entertaining sports out there, because so many sports are quick, and a lot of people will say that as a detriment to baseball, that it takes a while for the game to happen. But I think that's where the nuance happens with the game, because everybody has their part to play. Everybody, like it's all about that team, making sure that win's going to happen, and it's very, from a fan, I really hope that attendance comes up on that.
Yeah, I think so.
What would you say is the hardest thing to get used to being a professional ball player? Have you just taken to it like a fish like water, or is there anything that's been a little harder to kind of get used to?
I would say probably just the everyday grind of it, like we were talking about before. You used to play a couple of games a week and you'd practice for an hour or two, some like the days that you didn't and stuff. But here it's, 8-10 hours a day. You're playing baseball every day. You got to take care of your body well. That was something that I had to really learn, to have better nutrition and learn how to have good recovery for my muscles and that sort of thing, so that I was ready to go out and play every day. And that was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. Through it all, I mean, you're young, you're hungry, you're going to be in this sport for a while, I can just tell. But from the path that you started on as a kid, just loving the game, to now being a professional ball player, what fuels you to want to keep getting up every day and keep doing it?
I love it.
Just love it.
There's nothing else that I want to do. I'm competitive too, and I want to be the best that I can be. Every day I want to go out and be the best player on the field, be the best player that I can be, and beat that other team that's out there with my boys. And I don't know, it's what I love. It's what I love to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What would you say would be good advice to the younger generation wanting to pursue becoming a professional baseball player?
I just say always keep working. That's what I always say when anybody asks that question, is just, to me it wasn't work, because to me I just loved hitting and I loved throwing and picking up balls and stuff. And I know that there's lots of kids out there who feel the same way that I did when I was growing up, and just enjoy it, like love what you do and do it a lot and just really pursue it,
Yeah, no, that's good. Like I said, it's inspiring to talk to someone like you, because so often it's, especially in the media with athletes, so often it's like the idea of fame, the idea of superstardom, the idea of joining the sport to be the next, Wade Boggs, Derek Jeter, whoever, like is weighed upon everybody, and it's refreshing to hear someone like you who's really in it for the love of the sport. And I think that's why this sport breeds superstars, and I really believe one day that you're going to be with that echelon of players.
Thank you. I really hope so.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to continue to follow you on your journey through the sport. And for our listeners and watchers, is there a way to follow you outside of following the ball club itself? Do you social media at all? Do you chronicle your journey at all?
Yeah, I have Twitter and Instagram. I like Instagram better. I don't really tweet that much, to be honest with you, but I have them both.
Okay.
It's Real G Wit on both of them.
Excellent. I'll put those right in the show as well, so all of our listeners and watchers can follow your journey as well, because it's going to be an exciting one. And like you said, spring training's in full swing right now, and season's about to start. It's the most exciting time of the year.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me on the show today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.